Hey guys, my name is Spencer Kaufman. Thank you for watching the Deception Tips videos. They're all about teaching you how to read people and detect deception so that you will be able to tell if someone is lying to you. Today we are going to talk about a cool tip that is something that you hear on a regular basis and that is sort of confusing. So I'm going to preface it by saying you should check out the Deception Tips podcast. It's episode number 9, and you can do that on spencerkaufman.com. This is about converting statements. So sometimes you can make a positive statement into a negative statement and a negative statement into a positive statement. And what this does is when it happens, it's something that sounds natural in some cases and completely crazy in other cases. And so depending on the type of question, the statement could either be true or a lie, or in general it could be like something that sounds like a truthful response, but in this case it could be a deceptive response. So it's something that is not quite set in stone. It's not easy to understand, but it's something that when you hear, you can kind of think about it, and it's a red flag that could alert you to other signs. So here it is. This is deception tip number 9. Some liars may make positive statements negative, or vice versa, to provide quick answers to the question. Example, did you? No, I did not do. So there are a couple of parts to this, and when people answer something or give a quick response, that is the first part. It's quick response, and we'll talk about that in another video. But when people give a quick answer to a question, usually they're just kind of throwing something out there to satisfy the questioner. Then the second part is they're converting the statement. So in this is going to be a 2-part video. So this will be part 1, and the reason we're doing this is because it is a lot of information and it's essential that you kind of get it down. The main thing is when you hear this happen, you know that it is a warning sign for potential deception. So then you would start to look for other patterns and clusters of behavior. So in this one, we'll start out with the simple question. Now, obviously, the best question to ask anyone when seeking the truth is a yes or no question. So in this example, we'll use, did you take my money? So I would ask you, did you take my money? And there are 4 different ways you could respond to that. So you could either say that yes, you did. Yes, you took my money. No, you did not do it. No, you did it. Or yes, you did not do it. So it's yes and no, and then with a scenario of you either did it or you didn't do it. So that's why there are 4 scenarios. Now, the first one is the typical response. So did you take my money? You would say, no, I did not take your money. Now that one is a potential lying response. For one thing we talked about with contractions, when you separate that, that is a kind of a lying behavior. And in addition, when you say no, you took that positive statement and making it negative by adding a no and then a not. So the positive statement is that you did it, I did it, and then you say no and then not. So no, I did not do it. You've taken a positive statement, I did it, and made it negative, which could potentially be a lying statement. And then also the double negative, which is something we'll talk about in a future video, that's kind of double emphasizing that scenario. Then you could also say yes, you did it, so yes, I did it. That would be typically a truthful response. Did you take my money? Yes, I did it. But on some grounds that could be a double positive or reinforcing a positive, which could lead you to be a little bit suspicious. And then the other 2 answers really kind of don't make sense. So did you take my money? Yes, I did not. Well, that doesn't make sense really at all. And then no, I did. So that one again is kind of just a weird response, a weird answer. So if you hear either of those 2, did you take my money? Yes, I did not. Did you take my money? No, I did. Both of them don't really make sense, and so they would typically be in a lying category. Now obviously this could be done with any sort of question. It doesn't have to be did you take my money, but it's a question of a direct question with a yes or no answer, and then these people who are responding just add that other information in that, and they either take a negative and make it positive or a positive and make it negative. For any of those reasons, that could be a typical deceptive response. Again, check out the podcast. It's episode 9. That will really help you clarify some of this. In addition, if this is your first time watching these videos, I would love to have you subscribe to the channel on YouTube. They're all about teaching you how to read people and detect deception so that you will know what everybody is saying. And if you'd like more information, we've got books, podcasts, blog posts, all available on spencerkaufman.com that are dedicated to teaching you what everybody is really saying. Until next time.